It's the last day, probably, of being completely. It's gonna have a breakdown. As in taken down.
How's it? Hang loose. Welcome to Mongoose Max Hawaii, the channel. Okay. Yeah, it's Friday, so I wasn't gonna do one today, but hey, you know what I'm saying? What the heck? Ghost Tube, you working? Okay, Ghost Tube. Because we went in. You need a little help from the other side. Because here come the judge. Here come the judge. We'll be meeting in the back room in one of those secret compartments. Oh, I gotta hit too hard there. Yeah, the Supreme Court people, the justices, are meeting today, and they're looking at the cases. That's what the Supreme Court does. They get the cases, they go, let's see, is it a constitutional question? And then they go, do we want to do that one? No joke. That's what they're doing. And of all the junk that's on their table, or slate, or whatever, their docket, they're the Colorado off... Not likely? Oh, yes, likely. The Colorado off-the-ballot Trump case is right on the top of that pile. And a bunch of other off-the-ballot cases, because now that's what we're going to talk about. Illinois, off the ballot. Massachusetts, off the ballot. Maine, already off the ballot. Colorado, off the ballot. These are all, they've taken Trump and taken him off the ballot, more or less. Because there's a Supreme Court for the state, and then there's the U.S. Supreme Court. And the Colorado one had a thing. You're off the ballot unless the Supreme Court decides to look at it, and then you'll be back on the ballot. So it has this weird little, are you on? Are you off? Are you going to print the ballot? What the hey? So obviously when you look at it, if he's not on the general, primary, whatever the first one, the first election, I get them mixed up. The primary, yeah. If he's not on the ballot, then they can't vote for him. And if there's different states, like key states, swing states, or just 19 states, I think it is so far, that want him off the ballot, that's a big chunk of states that can't elect him on the, primary election for president. So he ain't gonna go far. So what happens is the Constitution gives the states how they want to do their election is up to the states, to state power. But on the other side of the balance, justice, is that if there's all these states doing all these things, it's going to be one hell of a mess when it comes to a giant significant thing like the presidential election coming up. The end of the year, right? This year? That's right, it's this year. Oh, God. So, the Supreme Court is sort of kind of duty-bound to do something to unify certain opinions, they call them, on certain matters, like was it an insurrection, and should it be off the ballot? See, here's what the Supreme Court doesn't want to do. They don't want to be the election interferers. Dangerous. So they want to do this way away from election. Holy ghost! The ghost is. This is Kayla. Don't leave. What the heck? Oh my gosh, don't leave, stupid Kayla. Dangerous, stay with me. Teresa, not likely I hear you abused. The ghost box has something to say. Let's trying to get our attention. But we won't listen because we're dealing with Supreme Court stuff. And it's crazy. So, the Supreme Court is gathered today to look at a pile of cases that they might look at. Now, they're trying to not be political with the election, and that's what they're kind of always trying to. They're just basing it on the Constitution. Is it constitutional or not? And they give an opinion. That's the Supreme Court. That's the Constitution. And they're not going to be political. And apparently that's not what happened when they're nominated or approved when they put a Supreme Court justice on the Supreme Court. That's not political. So anyhow, the big questions is, they gotta pin down whether January 6th was an insurrection or not. Because in the Constitution, now Supreme Court stuff, Section 3 or Paragraph 3 or whatever 3, in that Part 3, they wrote something in there about if someone takes the oath of office and they participate in any way in an insurrection, they cannot hold public office again, with the oath of office. And it's much more than just loyalty, taking the oath, and meaning what you say when you swear in. It's more than that, because it was written right after the Civil War, when the country was torn in two, and then it came back together. It's like, look, you can't do that. Now, all the little courtrooms are going, and the prosecutor, and they're trying to figure out, well, what Trump did on January 6th was not an insurrection. And so, it didn't have the Union Army and the Confederate Army, So we don't have Union Army, we don't have Confederate Army, so it can't be an insurrection. Although I did see a lot of stars and bars, the Confederate flag flying around. And they did have weapons, and it was a crowd. And you don't have to have, it doesn't have to be, it's an insurrection. Most courts agree that's an insurrection, January 6th. So the other one was, but it doesn't say office of the president. It's not, they're not barred from the office of the president because the will of the people of the election. No. Office of the presidency. And it's said like 20 times in the Constitution, office about the presidency. That ain't that. So those little things aren't working. So they're trying their darndest to get Trump back on the ballot on all these things. But they want to bump it up to the Supreme Court. Now, once the Supreme Court says, yes, it's considered an insurrection, it's over with. Once yes, it's mentioned 20 times in the Constitution, the presidency is an office, those things are going to go away. And so once they put an opinion about Colorado now, because it's the first one up on the docket, then it's going to be the precedent for all the other ones. So it's all going to, boom, go away. It's not going to be 50 states one at a time. It's going to be one fell swoop. And that's could be happening like today, tomorrow, that sort of soon. But there's much going on in the other things. And here's the big, what the heck is going on? It's the Coconut Wireless. The other case against Joe Biden is it's a impeachment because they accepted money from foreign governments through his son. Well, there's a big document that's out now. It's out there, and there's like something like about $20 million accepted by the Trump administration while he was president, with all his companies that he was supposed to dissolve. share your taxes and give over your taxes? And he said no. And dissolve your companies. I'm just going to give them to my sons. And they were not elected officials. They were appointed in his cabinet, so they were government officials after. And anyways, tons and tons of millions of dollars went into the Trump Towers from like Saudi Arabia, a couple $1 million there. China, $5 million there. Millions of dollars going into the Trump Towers from foreign countries. Documented. Fact. Whereas the impeachment for Biden, no fact. Fact, no fact. So they're going after the impeachment of Biden for the crimes that Trump committed. In fact, with this new document, some millions of dollars. Okay, you know what? I don't know. What are we doing? What is... Oh, yeah, we're making a short one. Okay, to the news. In Hawaii news, what happened? It just jammed? There it is. What? The bells of St. Mary. Okay, all these fireworks that went off in Hawaii, there's like 90% of them were illegal fireworks. So they're going to make a lot of... to just inspect all those shipping containers with tons and tons, actual tons, 17 tons they captured. How many tons didn't they capture? There was another deadly shooting. A 17-year-old with a gun went in and started shooting at another school. The first shot was a 6th grader. Damn, you get killed as a 6th grader? There's something gotta, I don't know. There's problems. There's also the immigration thing, too. It's giant problems. And Saudi Arabia bought all the major sports teams. Demon. It's golf and basketball and nope. You know what? Just relax. Just not much time. And it's Friday. We got to get going on. Remember back in the day, 1964, when you don't want to relax and you just go to the airport and greet the female Beatles. That's who they are. And they arrived in the open in Waikiki first discotheque nightclub, Riley's Au Go Go, establishment in Kalakaua and Kohio Avenues, owned by Betty Riley, who also owns the Coco Cabana. It's the Beatles. I don't see them singing Beatles songs like what, Maxwell Silver Hammer? That's one of my favorites. Bang bang Maxwell Silver. Just maybe a finger on the pulse. Oh God. It's just the nutsy thing here. And political cartoon. Oh, this is the day that MAGA followed reality TV star to the east with the gifts of the gold. No.
I just had an epiphany.
Instead of the 3 wise men for January 6th. It's January 6th. Oh yeah, you know what? Oh, and also, oh gosh. You know what? I think we'll skip the letters to the editor because there's another related story. Sorry, it's not the Islamic. It's this one. So I'll just look at this real quick. January 6th prosecutors should be held in contempt, defense says. So here we go with Donald Trump's lawyer. This is the January 6th. Is it an insurrection? It's being tried as an insurrection. This is the criminal one. The defense for Donald Trump, the lawyers are saying that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor counsel, and his top deputy should be held in contempt of court for not obeying what the judge said. Because the judge said to freeze the criminal case until Trump's of plotting to overturn the 2020 election, to freeze that case. So the lawyers are saying Smith didn't do that, so they should be held in contempt. So what happened was the judge, Chut Khan, overseeing the case in District Court, Washington, that's Washington, D.C., I think, put all of its proceedings on hold until Trump resolved his attempts to have the underlying charges dismissed with claims that he has immunity from prosecution to the case. Now this goes to the RAPE. All I just a little bit. R-A-P-P. I'm not supposed to say that. But the assault case for Trump, where he lost $5 million for defamation, but the actual case, he could have had it sort of, he could have filed for immunity and that sort of thing, and he didn't. And it's been 3 years, so it's going on. So it's gonna go on. That one's coming up too. But so he didn't do that. So the judges are like, you know what? We got to freeze this January 6th thing until this happens.
Gerald.
And what the special counsel Jack Smith did is just like, well, we're going to show you these things that we have for evidence and material. All this stuff we're going to nail you for. And then they said, well, they didn't stop it, so it's basically... It's like, okay, so basically, it's just like a throw anything you can. Smith didn't do what the judge said. High fight effect. But there's other stuff going on. So it's just nuts to the max with all this stuff going on. But keep in mind, the Supreme Court. Here come the judge. So what they can do pretty fast, and I'm thinking they'll probably want to do it pretty fast. Have a nice day. It's Friday. It's not Aloha Friday, but you know what I'm saying. Aloha. Have a good day. It's gonna be rainy. I don't know. The wind stopped. Aloha. It's gonna be strange weather. And just aloha. Just watch. It's gonna be fun. Aloha to you.